Barron to backstop the Jets to a 5-3 win to eliminate Calgary on Sunday is Winnipeg's starting goaltender. And Grant Fuhr, the first star in all 3 games in the preliminary round against the Los Angeles Kings, in goal for the Edmonton Oilers. Thomas Steen is out there with Paul McLean and Brian Mullen to start things for Winnipeg against the Messье line, Napьer and Anderson. Long lead pass broken up by Picard. He gets it ahead to Steen, and as Steen breaks in, it's whistled down as he knocked that pass down with a high stick.
John, it's going to be interesting to see who Glenn Sather's going to play Uэйн Гретцки against. He obviously decided he didn't want to play him against Thomas Steen during the first shift.
Well, Glenn had talked today in practices. He's not so concerned about the Winnipeg Jets. His concern is about his hockey club. Right now, they haven't had any mileage from their third unit, McClelland, Hunter, and Lumley. They haven't scored any goals, so all the emphasis is placed on the first 2 lines, Gretcki and Messье.
McClelland is out there against Boschman from the face-off. Boschman knocks it into Edmonton territory. Jackson back of his own net. Feeds a pass on the wing, rink wide for McClelland. He couldn't control it in the center ice area. Jackson gets it for Edmonton and dumps it into Winnipeg territory. Randy Carlyle, a man who is expected to play a key role for the Jets in this series, trying to move out of his zone too far for Jimmy Nill, and that produces an icing call. No, it's waved off as Winnipeg was able to touch it first. Loose puck, back to the line. Picard tried to play it in, and it's dumped down the ice.
John, an unexpected wrinkle from the Winnipeg Jets. Turnbull was supposed to play center ice. They start him here on the left wing.
Andrew McBain in the neutral zone, dumping it down into Edmonton territory. Huddy, cross ice for Coffee, too far, drop pass. Turnbull couldn't control it, and now Uэйн Gretcki plays it around the boards to Jari Kurri. Into the center ice area, the play broken up by David Babbitt. We've played 1 minute and 15 seconds of this opening period. Gretcki attempts to flip it in and puts it over the glass and out of play.
Barry Long continues to use that underdog approach, trying to take the pressure off his players. It's interesting to watch him work. He feels that his idea of coaching is to be very conservative, take it easy, not put pressure on anybody in the organization. Another interesting thing about the way they coach with the assistants, Sutherland and Bonus, is that 3 of them, along with Long, make the decisions. 2 out of the 3 votes make the decision, and I like that. It's not just one person coaching that entire hockey team.
And Barry Long was outvoted today when it came to one of the defensemen sitting out.
The decision at the blue line was to play Wade Campbell or the rookie, Peter Taglianetti. 2 of the 3 decided in Wade Campbell. Quick shot by Anderson. It just sails wide. Anderson gets it to the backhand. He hit the side of the net. Loose puck at the side of the net picked up by Wilson, and he clears it down the ice. Fuhr steers that to the corner. Now the Oilers, led by Melnick for Fogelin. Fogelin dropped it off, and Napьer starts out, dumping it into Winnipeg territory. Something of a surprise, the announcement that Kevin Lowe would not dress tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Earlier today, everyone thought that Lowe would be in the lineup, but he had that severe Charlie horse against the Los Angeles Kings. Coffee with Kurri across the line, and it's offside.
Now Barry Long, he's going to concentrate on taking Gretzky's wingers away. In other words, let's pick up Kurri and Krushelnyski and let Gretcki carry the puck. We'll see if that strategy works.
I think they also have some strategy, Gary, for the play of Paul Coffey. They want the right winger to pick up Paul Coffey as soon as he dumps that puck off.
The only problem there is Coffey always ends up on the wrong side of the ice. They know what he's going to do. He loves to go to the outside, and people still can't stop him with his great skating ability.
Pass picked off at the blue line, but apparently it was offside.
Of course, Uэйn Gretcki, even though he didn't score any goals against the Los Angeles series, he played it very smart. When he had Sykes all over him, he just followed another LA King around, so all of a sudden you got 2 Kings watching Gretcki, and that opened the ice for Kurri and Coffey, etc., etc. And that's the type of player he's always thinking.
Gary, do you think that Winnipeg will try and play a certain set of defensemen out against him? Like here you can see Carlyle and Picard out there. That may be a theory.
Well, they had talked about it. I think they just have to play and see how it goes for them. And right now, that's the combination that's out there.
Randy Carlisle flipping it back of the net for Picard. Picard gets it up in the wing to Smale, into McLean, across the line. He has it poked away. Smale was tied up as he tried to pick it up, and back comes Krushelnyski. Krushelnyski for Grettzki, but Paul Coffey streaking down the ice was ahead of the play offside.
We were talking about that defensive pairing, Picard and Carlisle, who have played so well together all year. You know, Carlisle, a seasoned veteran, wanted to relax here in Edmonton, so he and a couple of his teammates, along with John Ferguson, went to the racetrack last night here in Edmonton. They had a sour night as far as the winnings went, but he says maybe that'll be a little bit better during this hockey game. Maybe we'll get some results during the game.
Oh, John, Glenn Sather, his main concern is about Randy Carlisle. They know what he can do when he gets a hold of the puck, and both of these teams are blessed with excellent transition from defense to offense. So Carlisle, they have to pay attention to him, as do the Winnipeg Jets on Paul Coffey.
Lead pass to Lundholm. He deflects it into the Edmonton zone. Turnbull being double shifted. Turnbull gets it now. Back to the point. Babbage with a drive through traffic in front of the net, and a shot just sails wide. Now it's Lundholm feeding it in front. Nobody there. And Semenko dumps it out to the center ice area. 16:20 remaining in this still scoreless first period here at the Northlands Coliseum. Lundholm falls. The puck loose along the boards. Picked up by Larry Melnick for the Oilers. To Willie Lindstrom, the former Winnipeg Jet, shoots it into Winnipeg territory. The pass picked up by Babbage, and he gets it to Arneal across the line. A shot goes wide as Dave Ellett from his defensive position had broken in. Lead pass too far for Carroll. Tim Waters goes back to touch it for an icing call against Edmonton. 15:45 is the time remaining in the first period. Laurie Boschman against Mark Messie in the face-off circle to the left of Grant Fuhr. Along the boards from the draw, Mullen is tied up by Melding. It comes to Tim Waters. A shot through traffic, and that hit the post. Back of the net, Melnick having difficulties there with Mullen. He finally pokes it free. Unable to get it out, however, against the persistent forechecking of Laurie Boschman. Now Messier tries. He works his way out to the neutral zone, shoots it down into Winnipeg territory. Messier racing into the corner. He bumps with Campbell. It comes out front to Anderson. He takes a shot, and that sails wide. In behind the Winnipeg net, Anderson and Campbell bumping, and they tie the puck up against the net.
On this line, the Messier-Anderson line, very quick, by far the quickest line on the ice for the Edmonton Oilers early in this game. Grant Fuhr, you have to watch face-offs when Boschman's on the ice for Winnipeg. Watch Mullen skate right in front here, almost deflect the puck just outside of the goalpost. You can see Grant Fuhr try and stay on his feet to play that puck. Now the other end, we talked about the quickness of people like Anderson. Here he is on his off wing. He's going to get the puck and try and jam it in the short side of the goaltender Barron. Look at Barron looking back over his shoulder to see which way to go. But Messier's line, very quick. We'll probably see that a lot during Edmonton on their power play.
Barron had problems with that long shot. He attempted to catch it, dropped it, and lost it between his legs.
You know, he has to be a little bit nervous right now. That long shot from, in fact, outside the blue line. And, you know, how does a goaltender feel, a rookie coming in against the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, it has to be tough. I think the more Barron has to play right now, the more the pressure's on him. He wasn't totally expected to play during that Calgary series, and he's sort of thrown in there. He didn't have a lot of time to think about it. One thing interesting about Barron, just before he came on the ice for the game, he kept a card beside him in the stall in the dressing room, and it reminded him, it said stand up, play the angles well, and a good reminder, and that's the way this particular goaltender, Barron, keeps his concentration going.
Well, one thing on that long shot, he did get his body, his chest in front of it, rather than trying to go with it with a glove and fanning it.
We should point out again that for the second consecutive game with Dale Howard-Chuck out, Laurie Boschman is the acting captain for Winnipeg. The face-off to the left of Mark Barron. We've played 5 minutes and 1 second of this opening period, game 1 of this Smythe Division Final, game 2 here at the Northlands Coliseum on Saturday night. Loose puck in the Winnipeg zone. Now it's brought out for Robert Picard. A long shot, and that's steered to the corner by Grant Fuhr. Coffee with a rink-wide pass. It deflects off the stick of Curry. Curry gets it again for Krushelnyski, trying to move in, and Picard had him tied up. Along the boards, they battle for it. Comes loose to Huddy, a shot, the save, and the big rebound is brought out by the Winnipeg Jets' Ron Wilson. Wilson shoots it down into Edmonton territory with Coffey going behind his net, picking up steam, gets away from Andrew McBain into the center ice area for Krushelnyski. To Grettzky. Grettzky at the line. Had it poked away, got it back again, but put himself offside.
Just offside was Wayne Grettzky. You know, one thing interesting about people that play like Coffey and Grettzky is the fact that they make the other teams take a lot of penalties. Coffey with a last rush had a couple of the Jets reaching out, trying to hook them, trying to make them slow down. I'll guarantee you while this series goes on that these two will make the Jets take penalties because of their quickness and their styles of play.
Well, you can't go right at Coffey. You have to take him on the angle or you'll never catch him. And that last rush showed you his acceleration.
From the face-off, fired in by Gregg. Babbage back of his own goal. Fires it off an open wing. Thomas Steen was floating around that center ice area. It's touched by Gregg for an icing call against Winnipeg. And John Davidson, you have some news about Kevin Lowe.
The reason why he did not get into the lineup tonight is his leg was not quite 100% where he had that Charlie horse. Now, Kevin Lowe's style of play is to slide, block shots, get down on the play quite a bit. And they decided that when he does fall down, he still had a little trouble getting back up on his feet. The strength wasn't quite there in that leg, so they decided to go against it. Now, Fogland played with Lowe all throughout the season. Fogland will be with Melnick tonight. That's a different wrinkle in their lineup, and it's something maybe a little difficult to get used to for both players.
Well, they played 2 games together in the LA series, so you know, that's where the conversation on the ice is so very important. You talk to one another and make sure that you're positioned correctly.
Face-off to the right of Barron. Boschman against Krushelnyski. Krushelnyski gets the draw for Grettzky. Grettzky trying to feed it back to the line. It's still loose in that Winnipeg zone, and finally it's brought out to center ice by Babbage, but Curry is back there to pick it up for Edmonton. Long shot, and it's offside. We've played 13 minutes and 42 seconds of this still scoreless first period. Boschman against McClellan in that face-off circle. .11:33 the time left here in the first period.
Well, we had figured it would be a skating game, and that's exactly what has developed so far in this first period. Oilers lead in shots 3-2, but good end-to-end action.
Now it's Turnbull in against Lumley. Loose puck goes to the corner. Turnbull has it poked away by Lumley. Lumley unable to get it out, and a shot by Jim Kite just sailed wide. Now it's dumped down the ice. A race for the loose puck. Kite and Lumley going to the corner. It's poked free. The Oilers have it. Lumley back to the net out front, and it's taken to the boards by Boschman, and he dumps it to the neutral zone. In the center ice area, they battle for it. Boschman is upset, and there's a penalty coming up against the Edmonton Oilers.
Larry Melnick gets the tripping penalty on Laurie Boschman right about the center ice area. Watch him go in, reach out. There he kicks the feet out from underneath of Boschman. So Winnipeg, their first power play chance of the evening. They scored 5 goals and 22 tries in their series against Calgary. Allett, Babbage, Howardchuk, McLean, and Steen all scored a goal each again. The scoring spread out for the Winnipeg Jets.
Babbage brings it in across the line and dumps it in behind the net. Gregg trying to play it out, kept in by McLean, and he's upset by Gregg, and Grettzky starts back for Edmonton. He's out there with Curry. Grettzky still controlling it at center ice, and there's a penalty coming up against the Winnipeg Jets as Paul McLean will be going on.
McLean obviously unhappy with the call, but he took quite a swipe at Wayne Grettzky and knocked Grettzky down to the ice. That's going to negate the power play chance for the Winnipeg Jets. Watch how he comes in with his stick. It gets up high, and watch him just knock the feet right out from underneath Wayne Grettzky. A definite tripping penalty.
Of course, Barry Long doesn't like to see his team take a penalty between the 2 blue lines when they have a man advantage. And so the 2 penalties that we've seen in tonight's contest, type that coaches don't like to see the players take. It's not saving a goal. It's just a lack of discipline.
That penalty to McLean coming just 25 seconds after Melnick had been sent off, both with tripping penalties. So they're playing 5 aside here at the Northlands Coliseum as we approach the midway point of this opening period, Game 1 of the Smythe Division Final. Randy Carlisle dumps it into the corner. The Oilers disposed of Los Angeles in 3 straight. Winnipeg required 4 games to knock off the Calgary Flames. Loose puck picked up in the center ice area. Anderson feeds it back to Jackson. A return pass to Anderson, the overtime hero in Game 3 for the Oilers. Feeds it into the corner. Messьe along the boards with Carlisle. It's poked to the other side. Coffey's in there, back of the net for Messьe. Messьe out front to Coffey all alone. What a save by Mark Barron.
Great save, but you have to wonder why Coffey didn't shoot the puck right away. He took his time on the play. What a save.
Messьe dropping it over. There's a shot. It deflects off a stick in behind the Winnipeg net, and it's picked up by Babbage. The save of the game so far by Mark Barron. Long drive by Babbage. Muir kicks that one out to Yari Curry. 9:29 remaining in the first period. Long blast by Curry off the end glass. Back comes Winnipeg, led by Babbage for Thomas Steen. Steen with a slap shot off the stick and up into the crowd.
Watch, when Coffey's on the ice, he's always dangerous because he plays up front. There you see him sort of shaking his head. He can't believe he missed it. So 4-on-4 situation, he's going to get a lot of ice time. Watch him as he goes in front. Great pass. Now watch, he doesn't shoot it right away. He waits and tries to put it through the legs of the goaltender, Barron. Give Barron credit because he stayed up and he moved across with him.
From a defensive position, when Paul Coffey's out on there and your point man is back watching him, he has to be in a position where he can always keep an eye on Coffey. Once he turns his back, that's all Coffey's waiting for, and he's going to get into that open.
Grettzki now breaks out, working against the rookie Alec. Good play by the young man out of Bowling Green University. Now it's Smale coming in with Thomas Steen. Steen had difficulty controlling it on that 2-on-1. And Paul Coffey helped to break it up, and it's Coffey to the attack. Going to the outside, lost the puck as Ellett poked it away. Off the boards, but not out. In front, Krushelnyski directing it to the corner for Grettzki. Back to the point. They tried to feed it to the other side for Randy Gregg, and Curry deflected it out over the line. Offside. The Jets back at full strength. Loose puck now, picked up by Babbage. Lead pass for Boschman. Boschman on the wing for Smale. Smale is taken out of the play by Coffey, and back comes Edmonton. 8:22 remaining in the first period. Grettzki having difficulty getting a shot away. Feeds it across for Curry. He shoots, he scores!
Well, Grettzki always finds a way to find Yari Curry. Watch 2 things here. First of all, Grettzki fights off the strength of Boschman and controls the puck right there. Now he finds Curry blind, and Barron goes down way too early and sneaks through the legs. Curry always finds a way to hit the net, doesn't he?
Remember what Barry Long had talked about? We're going to take the wingers away from the Oilers. We're going to have them covered. Well, look at how much time that Yari Curry had on that one. He just wheeled around and took 3 or 4 seconds before he unloaded that shot.
And both the coaching staffs felt that both goaltenders were vulnerable through the legs. There's the first one that's been scored in that area. That's a tough one to stop.
Curry from Grettzki and Gregg, the 3rd goal of the playoffs for Yari Curry, coming at 11:45. The Oilers lead it by a score of 1-0. Boschman, rink wide, Carlisle in front, and it's deflected wide by Turnbull. In the corner, Boschman is knocked down. Puck goes loose. Now it's dug out by Jim Nill. Nill playing it back in behind the net. Turnbull couldn't get to it. Fogelin up along the boards, but not out. Boschman to the corner, having difficulty controlling it. Gets it again. Boschman dropping it back to the line. Carlisle with a shot that is deflected by Fury. Good pressure here by the Jets. In front, looking for Turnbull. He was tied up in the slot.
But in the previous series between Winnipeg and Calgary, every time Calgary scored, Winnipeg came back strong, and they're keeping the same type of game up here. That shows character.
Messьe gets away from a check from Wilson. A penalty will be coming up. Barron makes the save. Messьe gets it again. Feeds it into the slot area. Anderson is spun around, and the penalty will be coming up against the Winnipeg Jets. Ron Wilson with 6:55 remaining here in the first period. 1-0, the Edmonton Oilers lead. They'll go on the power play.
One thing that Teddy Green, the assistant coach of the Oilers, was saying was this line, Messier's line, is going to be the key to our power play, to their power play. He said the reason is they're not stationary in that offensive zone. They move around. They react to the penalty killing units. Now watch Winnipeg when they kill a penalty. This team is aggressive. They pressure the person with a puck. There's no real set defensive style of play. They just go for it. It's almost kamikaze style.
Well, John, that's the way the Oilers have to play, though. They have to create scoring opportunities for the puck carrier.
Back to the line. A long shot bounces off a leg into the center ice area. And at this time, we welcome those viewers in Eastern Canada who have been watching the action between Montreal and Quebec. Here it's 1-0. The Oilers leading the Winnipeg Jets. The Oilers on the power play. Here's a chance for Smale. He spun around, and Thomas Steen could not catch up with him. I'm Don Whitman with Gary Dornhofer and John Davidson, and Coffee brings it in across the line for Anderson. A shot. Loose puck, they jam away at it, but covering up was goaltender Mark Barron.
You know, because of the speed of the Edmonton Oilers, they were very successful against the LA Kings, going to the outside, going around the defenseman, and that seems to be the same strategy that they're using in this game tonight.
Here's the goal that Edmonton has scored, the only goal in this game. Watch Grettzki pass his puck blind. Look at this, back behind his back. Curry's in the right position, and he just fires it through the legs of the goaltender. This time he had to take his time before he got the shot away. Grettzki knows where Curry is at all times. A great play by 99 to get the puck across to Yuri Curry.
You know, from a checking position, what more could Boschman do? He had Grettzki covered like a blanket. Sometimes that's not enough.
1:25 remaining in the penalty to Winnipeg's Ron Wilson. Loose puck knocked out to the center ice area. Benny Lundholm's got a breakaway. Lundholm going in. He scores!
Winnipeg tied this game up. Grettzki's the defenseman on the power play. 99's back on the point. Lundholm comes out from like a shot from the faceoff, and he gets the puck high in the air. Watch how he's left all alone. Here he comes. He's on the fly, and he gets it by him. Now watch the goaltender Fuhr. He's out 20 feet. Then he backs in. Lundholm sees him out that far. He's not even back to the crease yet, and he just simply goes around Fuhr because Lundholm had the speed going.
What I like is how he goes to the forehand. When you're on your forehand, you can do a lot more with it. You can shoot it high, you can shoot it low. That time all he had to do was put the puck along the ice. Short-handed goal for the Jets.
Grettzki across the line, trying to set something up. His pass picked off by Lundholm. Lundholm shoots it down the ice. Benny Lundholm, who did not dress for the first 3 games of the Calgary series, coming up with a very big goal for Winnipeg. A short-handed tally. Babbage with a shot off the glass.
Now, Don, we talked about the quickness of these Winnipeg Jets when they kill penalties. They just don't seem to care about any set play. They just pressure the person with the puck.
In the center ice area, it's Smale now back into his own zone for Kарлaйл. Off the boards and down the ice with 35 seconds left in the penalty.
Something you watch for, too. Because the Oilers play a gambling game, that's the time where the Jets could really take advantage of that and really capitalize.
1-1 the score with 5:20 remaining in the period. The play broken up at the line by Tim Waters. Messьe picking up steam across the line, back to the point, and Jackson breaks his stick as he lets the shot go, and it's played down the ice by Winnipeg with just 2 seconds left in the penalty.
John, that last goal, or save by Barron, the goalkeeper, Edmonton shoots from all different angles, and the goaltender playing against Edmonton have to be aware of that. Try and stay up and really cover that short side. Grettzki especially shoots from the bad angles a lot.
Loose puck along the boards. Jim Nill bumped by Anderson. It comes loose to Napьer. Carroll working into the corner against Waters. The two of them bump along the boards. Now it's dug out by Napьer. Napьer back to the line. Fogelin getting set. His shot deflects over the glass and out of play.
So for Benny Lundholm, his first goal of the series, John Ferguson talks about Lundholm being one of the premier role players in the National Hockey League simply because of the plays he just made. He's able to go in off the bench, kill a penalty, and make a great play. You know, he did not play the first 2 games against Calgary, and he was rooming with Thomas Steen. And the first 3 games against Calgary. Now, Steen didn't play that well, and Ferguson, the general manager, felt that since Lundholm was rooming with Steen, perhaps that took a little bit away from the player's steam. Look at the quickness how he goes to the forehand, but Ferguson feels, why have one person playing in the games rooming with a person that's not playing? It has to rub off a little bit, and maybe that's the reason why Steen didn't go as well as he could have. Now they're both playing, they're still rooming together.
Well, with the exception of the injured Dale Howard-Chuck back in Winnipeg, the Jets have all the forwards dressed for tonight's game that they do have with the National Hockey League team. They have several forwards down with Sherbrooke in the minors.
Yeah, they had Tommy Martin with them, but they sent him back after the Calgary series for the American League playoffs.
Turnbull fighting along the boards for that loose pocket, goes over the glass and out of play, and we have 4:11 remaining in the first period. Turnbull facing off against Carroll. Turnbull has been moved around. He's been double shifted, playing some on the wing and on the fourth line at center.
Well, since the Winnipeg Jets are one forward short, you'll see Barry Long do a lot of line juggling and moving players in and out.
Into the center ice area. Carroll couldn't control it. He almost got it back again as it bounced away from Babbage. Now it's Scott Arneal across the line. He still has it. Scott Arneal taken in against the boards by Fogelin. Carroll comes in there as well. They try and kick it free, and finally they force a face-off in that Edmonton zone with 3:38 remaining in this first period. Yari Curry at 11:45, and then Benny Lundholm with a shorthanded goal at 13:49, producing this 1-all first period tie at Northlands Coliseum.
Well, throughout this game, we're going to see a lot of work along the boards and in the corners, and really it's the guy that makes up his mind, and he's going to outwork the man he's facing. And if you look for somebody like Mark Messie to go in the corner, you know that in a lot of cases, he's going to come up with that puck.
Gary, do you find it strange that everybody's been talking about Paul Coffey, Wayne Grettzky in this series? Not a lot of talk about Mark Messie. He, to me, is a key because he's so strong at center ice, and you have to have strength down the middle.
In the third game in Los Angeles, Mark Messie started playing like Mark Messie, and he's carried it over in tonight's game. Once he gets a hold of that puck, he's very determined, and he could go with it.
Loose puck in the Edmonton zone, now brought out by the Oilers. Messie trying to go around Ellen. Ellen takes him out of the play. Anderson going back to the net, slipping it out front. Nobody in position. Waters dodges a check there from Messie, and now it's deflected to center ice.
There you saw the temper of Mark Messie. He was knocked down by Ellett. He got up and took a run at one of the Jet players. You have to try and mask those tempers a little bit, not take bad penalties.
Mark Nappier taken in against the boards. The puck goes loose and back of the Winnipeg goal. Dave Ellett. Lead pass for Paul McLean. McLean across the line, one man back, looking for someone to catch up with the play. Finally opted to take the shot. It went wide. Back comes Charlie Huddy for the Oilers. Huddy waiting for his teammates to catch up. Now moving in, takes the shot over the glass and out of play.
Where's Charlie Huddy? Growing the beard. I asked him if that was a little bit of superstition or what. He said, no, the sun is not working very well in our dressing room, so we don't shave that often. Got a pretty good sense of humor.
And on the Winnipeg Jet roster, Dave Babbage had an interesting comment about his beard.
Said it worked for the New York Islanders all those years. Maybe it'll work for us.
You know, both teams are very loose. I was very surprised that watching Winnipeg for that Calgary series, they were much more uptight going into the series than they are here. And I think a lot of that had to do with them playing so well against Edmonton towards the end of the season. Sort of took the mystique away of playing here in the Edmonton Coliseum. That late season slump may have hurt the Oilers in that respect.
You know what we're seeing also is that the Oilers are trading off taking face-offs. First Krushelnyski will take it, then Grettzky. Now it's Gretzky's turn again.
Well, wherever you're looking in tonight, we hope you're enjoying the action from Northlands Coliseum. We've got a delayed penalty call against the Winnipeg Jets. Or is it against Edmonton? Pardon me, it's against Mike Krushelnyski of the Edmonton Oilers. Could have almost been a fatal mistake because Grant Fuhr was streaking for the Edmonton bench.
That could have been very, very fatal. The Krushelnyski's in the penalty box. Winnipeg the chance on the power play. That happened right off the face-off.
Now, Krushelnyski gets a roughing call. Remember, he and Boschman had a little get-together earlier in the period, and that seems to have carried on.
Now it's Jackson back into his own zone. The Jets with the man advantage. They had an earlier power play, but it lasted just 25 seconds before Paul McLean negated that man advantage by taking a tripping penalty. Dumped into the Edmonton zone. Jackson back after, tried to clear it. It hit a leg. It goes to the corner. And finally Hunter deflects it over the boards and out of play.
But on that last play, Gregg had a little bit of trouble with Boschman. Now we have to remember Boschman played for the Edmonton Oilers at one time, and the defense for the Oilers have to realize that Boschman likes to play what they call down low. In other words, around Grant Fuhrer. He'll wait back there while the puck's going out of the zone just in case it does come back. And I'm sure he learned that from Uein Grettzki when he played in Edmonton. That's something that those defensemen are aware of for the Jets, or excuse me, for the Oilers.
1-1 the score with 2:06 remaining in the first period. A minute 34 in the penalty to Mike Krushelnyski. Paul McLean bumps with Gregg in the corner. Thomas Steen comes up with the puck. Back to the line for Ellett. Ellett's shot knocked down by Gregg, unable to get it out against Steen. He tries the other side now. And finally it's dumped the length of the ice.
Winnipeg have a style of power play when Steen's on the ice where the forwards play fairly high, almost at the top of the circle, all three of them. And the Oilers were aware of that, and they're going to try and react to it. Not too much in front of the net when Steen's line is on the ice.
That shot by Mullen took a very strange bounce off the glass and almost fooled Grant Fuhrer. Another strange bounce off the glass as it's cleared the length of the ice.
Well, one thing, if the Jets are going to shoot that puck in, they better get their wingers going at top speed, because when you have a Paul Coffey back on defense, he'll just sag a little bit, and before you know, he's out of the end.
Grettzki trying to set up Jari Kurri, and he almost got in position in front of the net to deflect it. Now it's Dave Babbitt in across the line as we move into the final minute for Mullen. Mullen's rink wide pass, broken up by Kurri. Kurri has Grettzki in on the other side. Kurri going for the net. And the save is made. The puck goes back to the goal. Grettzki feeding it to the line. Deflected there by the Oilers, and now the Jets take over. A close call there as Jari Kurri and Grettzki broke in. Babbitt at the line trying to set up Boschman. He was offside.
That last 2-on-1, give Dave Babbitt some credit. He played that pretty well after Mullen gave the puck away at the Edmonton blue line. Barron, the goalkeeper, also played it pretty well, but with Babbitt's back there, Kurri had no way he was going to pass it over across to Uein Grettzki, and Barron stayed with Kurri real well and broke up the play. We'll watch the goaltender in the net. Now Mullen, when he tries to come back, watch him reach for Kurri and he stops skating. Watch his stick come in. Watch his feet. Now he stops. He should have kept going right there. Now it's the 2-on-1. He has nowhere to pass the puck because Babbitt is there.
The penalty to Krushelnyski has expired. 27 seconds remaining in the period. Out front for McBain. A quick shot. That hit the side of the net. McBain taken in against the boards. The puck goes loose and Jackson has it for Edmonton. Andrew McBain, who scored a goal, his first of the playoffs in Game 4 against Calgary, coming very close to giving the Winnipeg Jets the lead. Just 5 seconds left in the period. Anderson with a long shot off a stick to the corner, and that's it. So the score at the end of the first period is Winnipeg 1, Edmonton 1. Don Whitman along with John Davidson and Gary Dornhofer as period 2 at the Northlands Coliseum is just underway. Randy Carlisle takes it back into his own zone for Picard, off the boards and down the ice, and the icing is waved off as Grant Fuhrer is forced to make the save. Jackson, having some problems in his own zone, gives it back into the corner to Glenn Anderson. Persistent forechecking here by the Winnipeg Jets. Carlisle keeps it in with a shot. A high drive that Fuhrer knocked down. It goes loose back to the net. Penalty coming up against the Winnipeg Jets, Thomas Steen, as Mark Messье brings it out. And as it's knocked away by Steen, he'll be heading to the penalty box. Pass over on the wing, a shot, the save by Barron as he stood his ground.
Well, the goaltender Barron with not many shots to contend with. That was only the 7th of the game, but a lot of tough shots. He really stood up and made the big save there. Edmonton continue to have a little trouble on their power play. They still haven't scored in the playoffs, and they've given up a shorthanded goal here in this hockey game.
John, we talk about how the ability to hit that open man, and again, the Oilers always seem to find the man when they have to, and Krushelnyski left all alone, and really Barron played it well. He stood up. Krushelnyski never had anything to shoot at.
He played it very well. Remember that they feel that they can put the puck through the legs, and it looked like Krushelnyski tried to do it. Barron outsmarted him.
The Oilers on the power play, 1:42 remaining in the penalty to Thomas Steen.
The Oilers are certainly successful when they have time and to carry that puck in over the blue line. They don't want to shoot it in. They'd like to carry it in.
Fired in this time. Racing into the corner, Krushelnyski. He tried to go the other side. It was intercepted by Dave Babbage. Babbage to the line, but not out. Jari Kurri manages to keep it in. In front of the net, knocked down. It goes to the corner. And the Winnipeg Jets' Dave Ellett comes up with it and brings it out. Ellett is allowed to walk out and across the line, but Laurie Boschman preceded the play.
Now, we mentioned a couple of times in this hockey game about the aggressive penalty killing of Winnipeg with people like Dave Ellett. There you can see he wears the shield. He broke his nose badly earlier in the season, never missed the game. Very, very strong-willed individual, but he decided to wear the shield since then. But getting back to the power play and the penalty killing here, Winnipeg aggressive. The question is, how is Edmonton going to enable themselves to move the puck quickly against this Winnipeg very aggressive penalty killing?
John, you see that all over the National Hockey League, though. In order to be successful killing penalties, you have to be aggressive. Because of the skills of the offensive players, you can't give them time.
I agree with that, Gary, but Winnipeg are they're quicker than anybody else in the league. They just don't even seem to care. They just go for it. Now, will Edmonton be able to counter by trying to set up in that Winnipeg zone and move the puck quickly? That's the only way you can get around that being a man advantage situation, is to move it quickly.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets, Ron Wilson fired that puck over the glass and out of play. And it did ricochet back onto the playing surface, and Grant Fuhr came out to get that puck and give it to the official.
Now, Grant Fuhr still is wearing that shoulder brace from when he had his injury towards the end of the season. He says it doesn't bother him. He's able to play with a lot of mobility. He's certainly playing better with more playing time. You know, the goaltending situation here in Edmonton was one game Moog, one game Fuhr, one game Moog, one game Fuhr. Now Fuhr has played in 16 straight, and he's getting stronger, not tired at all. He said that injury at the end of the season gave him time to rest.
The Winnipeg Jets break out 3-on-2, led by Laurie Boschman for Doug Smale. Back to Boschman. Boschman fakes the shot, fed it in front. There was nobody there, and back comes Messье. Messьe working against Kарлyle, lost control of it, and Mark Barron clears it down the ice.
Now, I mentioned in the opening that Barron doesn't like to handle the puck too much. The blade of his stick is straight. He doesn't use the curved one like most young goaltenders do nowadays, but he certainly got that puck out of his zone well.
Paul Coffey wheeling in, fires it across, and Barron makes the save off Anderson. He got the stick up there to make the save. Loose puck in that Winnipeg zone. Kарлyle gets it, he clears it, and there are 13 seconds left in the penalty.
Well, there's that acceleration we talked about with Paul Coffey. One stride, who's going to catch him?
Coffey on the move again. He can fly. Feeds it in front, broken up by the Jets, and the penalized player Thomas Steen now back in the ice. Wilson cutting for the goal. Backhand shot, rebound, and Allen is robbed by Fuhr. Loose puck in that Winnipeg zone, now pulled up. Gretcky's got a breakaway. Gretcki going in alone. Final to 5. Great action here in the second period at both ends of the ice. Now Thomas Steen for Winnipeg. He shoots it into Edmonton territory. 16:46 remaining in the second. The score is still tied at 1. Rink wide pass. McClellan in across the line for Lumley. Back to McClellan. The shot. Face off to the left of Mark Barron. He's been tested 9 times so far in the game. Grant Fuhr at the other end has faced an identical number of shots. Both have made a couple of exceptional saves from close range. Lumley along the boards trying to poke it free. It goes to McClellan. McClellan feeding it out into the slot. Nobody there, and Arneal brings it out into the center ice area. Dumped down by McBain.
John, I never realized how good Boschman was on faceoffs in his own zone until the playoffs started this season. He was out there, now he comes to the bench and Turnbull goes on the ice.
In back of the net, the Jets trying to feed it out front, and Fuhr gloves it and holds on. Now some shoving back of the net involving Arneal and McClellan initially.
Well, Don, it's certainly Kevin McClellan's game to try and get out there and be an agitator, try and stir things up. He had a little trouble with his skating after he had the knee injury later on in the season. He decided to play tonight without his knee brace, and he finds he can skate a lot better. His knee still is heavily taped, but for Kevin McClellan to be effective, he has to play aggressive, and that last play is what he wants.
You know how quickly the Oilers move out of their own zone, and if you ever want somebody to carry the puck in a one-on-one situation against the goaltender, it's Wayne Grettzky. But if there is an Achilles heel with Wayne Grettzky, it's on breakaways. We've seen him score some marvelous goals, stick handle through the whole team, and when it comes to just him alone with a goaltender, that's when he has the most trouble.
It looked like he had a little room up high on the glove side, the catching glove side of Barron, but he just missed it, shot it to the outside of the goalpost. He usually tries to deke the goaltender. Not very often he gets in there and shoots it.
Turnbull against Krushelnyski. Draw goes back into the Edmonton corner, and it's cleared out into the center ice zone. Play whistled down in the neutral zone as the puck was deflected into the Winnipeg bench.
You know, the shots on net certainly reflect the way the teams have played in their own zone. They have played very well defensively, not allowing a lot of open shots from that slot area. And I'm sure that viewing the tapes of both teams, this is something that the coaches really wanted to concentrate on.
Take a look at Jim Kite. See on his ears there, he wears those added pieces of padding with the holes in them. Jim Kite has the hearing problem. He does wear the hearing aids to help him hear a lot better, but he wears those specific pieces of padding in there just for added protection. Jim Kite really sticks out there and plays well, even though he does have that problem with his hearing.
Jim was saying that one of the greatest problems he has is in a very noisy arena where the constant din erupts. He has difficulty hearing the whistle. Coffee feeding it in for Anderson. He couldn't control it. And now it's Randy Carlyle. Out to Thomas Steen. Steen working against Huddy. Huddy takes Steen out of the play. The puck goes loose back to the net. Messье trying to get it out of there. Finally succeeds to Coffee. Coffee couldn't control it. Now Steen flips it in front. Mullen could not pick it up, and Anderson comes out to center ice. A lead pass deflected into the Winnipeg zone by Messье. Shot back out into the center ice area. Here's Steen moving in, puts on the brakes, beats it across for McLean. He was upset just as he took the pass. McLean back to the line. McCart with a shot. That hit a leg and goes all the way down the ice.
When McLean was knocked over, it was by Messьe. The strength of Mark Messьe is incredible. He just came back, simply bumped McLean, down McLean wins.
Lead pass for Smale from Boschman offside at the Edmonton line. 14:47 remains in the second period.
Hasn't existed tonight, hasn't it?
Not very much at all.
Well, Fader said, we're just going to go out and play. We want to get our act together.
One thing about Barry Long, I think he'll do a little more matching with Lions at home. He's not able to being the visiting team.
Boschman trying to dig it out. He's upset, and Yari Curry starts back for the Oilers. He shoots it in back at the Winnipeg goal. Krushelnyski is taken in against the boards. The puck goes loose, deflected right in front of the Winnipeg net. Boschman out into the center ice area for Ellett. Ellett shoots it down into the Edmonton zone. 14:11 the time left to play here in the middle period. 1-1 the score. Quick shot as it came to Neal, and he spun around at the side of the net. Now it's loose along the boards. Neal ties up his man. Krushelnyski comes back to try and get away from Boschman. He begins working out with Curry. Still has it. Finally takes a long shot. Barron flips to the side of the net. Babbage. Lead pass into the center ice area for Wilson. He couldn't go anywhere. Grettzky in across the line. Grettzky waiting for his teammates to catch up, and he was tied up, and it was brought out across the line by Babbage and then flipped in offside.
The aggressive Jimmy Nill on the ice for the Oilers. Look at the expression on his face. He's had a lot of trouble with an injury in the high chest area, the sternum area. He did practice just one day after the series with Calgary. Took a couple off. He says it's still sore, but I have to live with it. You know, a lot of times in hockey, general managers feel they want to try and get a player from another team. They can't quite do it. John Ferguson tried for 2 years to get Nill to the Winnipeg Jets. He finally got his man, and Nill has certainly played well.
A loose puck as Jim Kite checked Fogelin. It bounces back into the Edmonton zone. Wilson couldn't control it. Now McClellan on the right side for Lumley. Lumley has it poked away by Kite. Kite unable to clear the zone. And as it rolled along the boards, the play was whistled down.
You know, gentlemen, we're so accustomed to watching the Oilers get a guy out near center ice looking for that long breakaway pass, but I've noticed also the Winnipeg Jets are doing a lot of that tonight. You know, looking for that quick pass that'll send their line away.
Lumley in the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. Pat Hughes hasn't played in the playoffs. Lumley's taken his position on the right side. And Lumley knows what his job is, to get out there and try and play tough, stir things up. He doesn't get many goals. He admits it. He's just trying to be that effective winger, that tough winger on the third line on the right side.
Might be a time to put Pat Hughes in because he's really snarly right about now.
Well, not many smiles with Pat Hughes these days, is there?
Scott Arneal for Winnipeg. Shooting it into the corner. Arneal is out there with Lundholm and Wilson. And Barry Long has really shaken up his lines tonight and done some juggling out of necessity as much as anything else because of the injury to Dale Hawerchuk. The Jets don't have an abundance of forwards. They have 8 defensemen in camp, but only 11 forwards. An injured player as Lumley was knocked flying in the corner, and finally the play is whistled down as it's cleared by Winnipeg.
Lumley went in to make a check to try and take the body for the Oilers along the boards, and the Winnipeg Jet player ducked, and Lumley went in and hard hit his back against the boards.
I think it was Waters that went down low, and I can remember doing that once against Barclay Plager, and boy, the boards don't move. So Lumley goes down quite heavily.
Lumley almost looked like he hit his head on the, what they call a dasher, where the glass and the boards meet, and Lumley does not wear a helmet. There you can see he's not exactly moving around too much. His eyes appear to be closed. Now watch his head here and see the shoulder head area, if that bangs into the boards, right as the glass meets the boards. Watch this. Bang. There you can see the side of the head went heavily into the boards. And you have to hope Dave Lumley's all right. He's getting up, it appears, on his own. Well, you can see Dave Lumley's got some blood coming down from the right side of his head. They're going to escort him right into the dressing room area to be looked at. Actually, they have him on the bench right now, trying to talk to him, see if he's all right. Now they're getting him up on his feet. I'm sure they'll get him right into the dressing room and try and sort out the problems.
Kарлaйл in front. The shot, they score! Beautiful setup for Paul McLean.
Glenn Sather had mentioned before the series started, we have to pay special attention to Randy Kарлaйл because the guy can make pinpoint passes. Well, you notice that pass right to McLean in the slot, and that's where McLean can score from. That was a high-rising shot. Grant Fuhr never had a chance on that. You notice how he moved to the one side to get away from the screen, and the puck went in on the short side.
And McLean got that puck away so quickly onto the forehand. Nappier was the winger coming back and didn't pick him up until the last second.
Nappier brings it in, backhand shot. Messье tried to get it in front. They score! Finally, Nappier!
Well, Nappier gets it back. Nappier was the man that had Paul McLean. He didn't have him, and McLean scored. Now watch Nappier get into position here to pick up the loose puck. There it is. There's 5 Jets all in that crease area. Nobody picks up Nappier. That's the whole key. Barron makes a good save with his left hand. Watch his deflection save right there. Now look at the Jets. They're all watching the puck. Nobody picks up Nappier.
Reaching, too.
Absolutely.
That's a great time to knock somebody on the seat of their pants. So Mark Nappier gets it back. And John, how often do coaches talk, if you get a goal scored against you, I want the next shift to be as good as you can possibly make it. Well, the Oilers are rewarded with a goal.
Especially in your home building, it gets the fans back involved, but you have to knock people around in that crease area. The Jets simply didn't.
McLean from Kарлaйл at 7:28, and then just 15 seconds later, Nappier from Messье and Haddi. Now it's Messьe across the line, over on the wing. They tried to set it in front. Gregg with a shot, and it sails off the glass. Picked up by the Winnipeg Jets and cleared down the ice. The Oilers coming very close again. Lead pass broken up by Winnipeg's Babbage across the line. For Boschman, he takes the shot, kicked out, and Mill overskated the rebound. Back comes Edmonton, 3-on-2. Messьe for Anderson, into the slot, a shot! It was sprinkled wide as Barron got a piece of it. Messьe dropping it off now for Coffee. Back to the line, over to Anderson. Anderson tried to set up Messьe in the corner, and it was intercepted by Allen. Well, those two quick goals have certainly injected some new enthusiasm into both sides as the play and the tempo has picked up. Wilson trying to get it in front. He loses it, and back come the Oilers. In the center ice area, Kарлaйл breaks up the play. The puck is then deflected back into the Winnipeg zone. Now it's Kарлaйл for Benny Lundholm. He scored a shorthanded goal in the first. To Wilson, he fires it wide. Big rebound, and it bounced over Wilson's stick. Jari Kurri and Grettzki break up. Grettzki, good move to get around Picard. He fired it wide. Uein Grettzki undressing Robert Picard with that move at the blue line. Now Picard and Grettzki fight for it. Grettzki gets it, then loses it to Doug Smale as he tried to center it. Ahead for Lundholm. He pokes it down into the Edmonton zone. Coffee is back. Coffee lost control of it as Lundholm crashed into the end boards.
Sean Grettzki has to be pressing a little bit. He hasn't scored a goal in the playoffs. He's missing the net on easy shots.
Coffee with a weak drive. He broke the stick. The puck goes to the side of the net, and Barron holds it there for a face-off as we approach the mid-mark of period 2.
But now in the last 6 minutes, we've had end-to-end action. Good scoring opportunities by both teams.
I think sometimes when a team has more days off, like in other words, Edmonton won the series Saturday night. They stayed in LA. Sunday went to a Dodger game. They didn't seem quite to have that spark that they normally have during that first period. Not taking anything away, of course, from the Winnipeg Jets, but Edmonton seemed to be picking it up. They're a little more crisp with their passing here in the second period.
Well, Glenn Sather, of course, he knows that the talent is there. It's a commitment by his hockey club, and if we play the way we're capable of playing, we're going to go on. It's just, can we get everybody going? That's the big question.
They're a team that love to play at high tempo. Quickness has been their trait over the last couple of seasons. In that last 6 or 7 minutes, as you mentioned, Gary, it was quick.
Jim Kite for Mullen, looking for Steen in the center ice area, picked off by the Oilers. Loose puck along the boards, and McClellan takes Kite in against the boards. Willie Lindstrom, back of the net. Lindstrom drops it off for Hunter. For McClellan, Kite takes him in against the boards again. They fight for it along the boards. Lindstrom is in there as well as Mullen, and the Winnipeg Jet player comes up with it. For Steen, he was looking for McLean, almost deflected it to him. Now Steen is upset, and there's a penalty coming up against the Oilers. 9:21 remaining in the second period, and the Winnipeg Jets, with Dave Hunter going off, will have the man advantage.
Is that McLean? It was McLean, wasn't it? Steve.
It's on Steen, right, Larry?
Dave Hunter draws the hooking penalty for the Edmonton Oilers. Jets on the power play will try to break that tie. You see Steen carrying the puck, and Hunter really has the good hook on him, and we'll spend the next couple minutes in the penalty box.
Okay, let's watch the Jets on the power play. With this line, Boschman on the ice. Now they have Campbell up on the wing on the power play here, and that's a different wrinkle.
You know where he's going to go.
I would think right in front of the net, but if they do send him to the front of the net, they're going to try and use their points. Babbage loves to shoot the puck. He and Kарлaйл both stay real wide, too, when they're on the power play in the Edmonton zone.
Play broken up at the line, loose puck in the center ice area, and Kарлaйл has to go back into his own zone. Dumped down the ice, and Randy Gregg retreats for Edmonton. He goes rink wide to Jackson. Jackson looking for Billy Carroll. Carroll races back to the Winnipeg goal. He overskated it. It's picked up by Lundholm.
You know, even though the Jets have the power play, they still have to be concerned anytime Grettzki and Kurri or Anderson and Messье are out in the ice, because in one motion, one quick pass, they can have a 2-on-1 break.
Lundholm across the line for Campbell. Back to the point now to Kарлaйл. Kарлaйл fakes the shot. Tried to feed it into the slot. Gets it again. Kарлaйл going back to the net. Bounces away from Lundholm. Lundholm picks it up. Now back to the point for Boschman. To the other side. Babbage getting set. Back to Boschman. Boschman had to play it off the boards. Carroll checks him. It goes loose along the boards. Boschman gets it over to Babbage. Babbage with a shot. Save. Loose puck in front of the net. And it's cleared.
Well, finally, David Babbage, who's playing the point on the right side on that power play, moved over to the middle of the ice and allowed the other player to pass the puck to him, and he got a shot on goal. Usually, Carlyle's on one board, and Babbage is way across on the other boards, and that's tough to make that long pass.
35 seconds remaining in the penalty to Hunter. Steen on the left side for McLean. McLean is tied up, gets it back to Steen. To the point for Ellett. Ellett for Thomas Steen. Back to Ellett. Ellett winds up with a deflection, and Pure made the save. Steen along the boards, back to Babbage. He tries to slide it into the corner, broken up by Coffee. And Coffee wheels in across the Winnipeg line. A backhand shot that is gloved by Barron. Back of the net now for David Ellett. Ellett off Mullen into the center ice area. The penalized player now back out for the Edmonton Oilers, and Hunter takes that pass in the center ice area. In across the line for Curry. Curry looking for Hunter. The play broken up by Winnipeg. Gretcki gets it again. Gretcki trying to work out in front, controlling it from the corner, looking for someone to pass to. Drops it off for Curry. Back to the line. Melnick with a drive high, and it's on the mesh at the back of the net. And finally whistled down with 6:53 left in the period.
You know, as a center iceman, Perry Turnbull has shown a lot tonight. Great strength. He has been very aggressive in the corners, and when it comes to knocking somebody off the puck, he has done that several times.
And from the face-off, he directed the shot at goaltender Grant Pure. And now it's the forechecking of Turnbull that almost forces the turnover, but the Oilers break out. Curry across the line with Gretcki. Gretcki for Curry, and he was turned around and unable to get his stick on it. Those two are always so dangerous every time they break in. Loose puck picked up along the boards. Good work there by Melnick as he forced the play. It comes up along the boards. Turnbull trying to jam it out. He fails. It goes back to the net. Gretcki trying to set something up. He's checked by Carlyle. The card along the boards, but not out. Krushelnyski keeping it in. Now in front for Gregg. He couldn't get a shot away. Gets the puck again. Gretcki trying to beat it across. Great save by Barron on Krushelnyski. I think initially Gretcki was looking for Curry, but it slid across to Krushelnyski, and Barron came across with that stick to flip it to the corner.
Super save by the goaltender Barron. You know, he played a playoff game here last year against the Oilers, had 56 shots, lost 6-5 in overtime. Watch here the anticipation of Barron. He gets across, standing up. That's the key. Watch him slide across with the whole bodies. He bodies there. He follows the puck perfectly. Good movement for that goaltender. He actually stayed square to that puck with his shoulders when he got across, and still had the ability to move his right leg, his right foot. What a save.
Of course, playing goal against the Edmonton Oilers, you always have to be aware of that extra pass. The Oilers do that to try to make the goaltender, it seems, look bad.
They've done that time and time again.
Jackson with a drive, and Barron in front had two players, Messье and Boschman. He was screened on that drive, but still managed to get a piece of it. Babbage's pass is knocked down. He gets it again and plays it into the Edmonton zone. 2:12 remaining in the second period. The score is tied at 2. It was 1-1 after 20 minutes. Pass intercepted. The Jets to the attack. 2-on-1. Arneal for Boschman, and he was tied up. Great play by Arneal as he slid it across to Boschman, and Boschman was tied up by the defenseman.
Don, that play was set up by a quick pass by Ellett, the defenseman. He just sprung the other two players to make a 2-on-1. This as a rookie, this Ellett, what a pass.
That's that transition play from behind your own blue line, and resulted in a 2-on-1 break.
A minute 37 remaining in the second. Tim Waters off the boards for McLean, for Thomas Steen to Mullen. Mullen fakes the shot on the wing for Carlyle in front, and it's deflected out to the center ice area. Here's Hunter working against Tim Waters, and Waters, the former Olympian, took it away from him, and then is checked heavily into the boards by Waters, or by Hunter, I should say. Now it's McLean coming back for Winnipeg. On the wing for Mullen. Mullen dodges a check, and it's fired back to center ice by the Oilers with 1 minute remaining in the period. Coffee, shot saved by Barron.
Barron is the type of goaltender that likes to play deep in his crease. He's got a big body. He likes to stay deep and read the plays. This time he decides to move out because Coffey has nowhere to pass the puck. Through a screen, Water set up as a screen. Barron, look where he's standing. He keeps his body low. Look where that glove hand is when he scoops the puck up. His glove hand was almost down on the ice surface, and Coffey shot right into it. Great save again by Barron, who just seems to be getting stronger with confidence as these playoff games wear on.
Remind me, this program is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Handled very well, Dorney. Here's a chance for Krushelnyski, and his shot is blocked by Babbage, and it's dumped down the ice with 50 seconds remaining in the second period. This will produce an icing call against Winnipeg.
Also, you know, with Paul Coffey carrying the puck, he has such success in beating men to the outside, but great players always do different things, you know, so they're not predictable.
That's the truth. There you see the staff.
I can't believe John Ferguson is sitting still. He's normally running up and down the backboard.
Well, one reason Fergie isn't running back and forth, he's wearing a microphone tonight. We have an isolated camera on the Winnipeg Jet general manager, and you'll be able to hear and watch Fergie during the intermission of Game 2 Saturday night.
They're going to edit that tape, I hope.
Expletives deleted, I can assure you.
Away on occasion. Actually, he's been a lot calmer than I ever thought he would be, and he's sure been a great help to the media as far as we're concerned.
Well, of course, you played for John Ferguson with the New York Rangers when he was the general manager, and you were the goaltender. Here's Curry now, picking up that loose puck, quick shot. Barron makes the save with Krushelnyski, looking for a rebound with 25 seconds left in the period.
Now this time, Barron, when he made this save, he simply moved his body in front of the puck. He didn't stay stationary and just move that stick glove out and make the save. He moved his whole body across so the puck couldn't squeeze through.
But John, did you notice throughout the contest that both goalies have been able to see the puck? I haven't seen many screens set up in tonight's game, and we really thought more of that would develop, but it hasn't.
Mark Barron getting the start in Game 1 in place of the injured Brian Hayward. Hayward was telling us that he injured a groin in Game 2 of the series with Calgary. Played Game 3 before leaving in the third. Coffey with a drive from the faceoff. And now it's brought out by Ron Wilson. 18 seconds left in the period. Across the line. He has it poked away. Kарлaйл having to wait for his mates to get onside. Didn't wait long enough with 11 seconds left in the period.
You know, one thing that's so very important, when your team wins the faceoff, then you should be able to do something with it. And the responsibility of the forward is, as soon as his team wins the faceoff, you have to fight your way for the front of the net. You notice Grettzky, he went to the side. Nobody went to the front. Barron had an easy time of it.
One thing that was interesting on that faceoff was Grettzky doesn't line up right flush against another player from the other team. He stays back 3 or 4 feet to try and be elusive. Interesting strategy for the great one, number 99.
At the line, dumped out to the center ice area, fired in again by the Winnipeg Jets, and that will run out the period. And so the score at the end of the second period is Winnipeg 2, Edmonton 2. All right, gentlemen, and the shots on goal through 40 minutes of play, 22-17. The Oilers out-shooting the Jets. Play underway now. Kарлaйл ahead for McLean. McLean centering it, and it's just deflected wide as Brian Mullen was at the side of the net. Now it's fired back in by Randy Kарлaйл, but the play is whistled down on an offside at the Edmonton line. 8 penalties so far in the hockey game, 4 to each side. Don Jackson in the lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. In the pregame skate, Kevin Lowe was out there, but because of the Charlie horse, he did not suit up for the game. And Dave Lumley, the man without the helmet, wearing number 8, sitting on the bench, he ran into the boards in the Winnipeg corner in the second period, banged his head into the boards, suffered a cut on the forehead, but is back on the Oiler bench. So we'll probably see Dave in this third period. Play broken up at the line, and now the Oilers bring it out. Coffey into the center ice area. He plays it in off a skate. Grettzky racing to the corner. Grettzky feeding it into the slot. There's nobody there. It comes to the line. Coffee keeps it in, and then it deflects out to the neutral zone. Lead pass for Doug Smale. Smale trying to work around Huddy. Huddy pokes it away from him. It goes rink wide to Paul Coffey. Coffey is taken in against the board. A backhand shot by Steen is taken by Charlie Huddy back of his own net, and the Edmonton defenseman works out to the center ice. Plays it ahead to Curry. Curry shot it in, and Grettzki took a shot that Barron stopped, and then it was cleared by Dave Babbitt.
John, that's what I meant by Grettzki taking those bad angle shots. He always likes to direct that puck. A lot of times, when he's not even looking towards the goal, he'll shoot it and try and surprise the goaltender.
Rink wide for Jim Nill. He shoots it into Edmonton territory. We played a minute and a half of this third period. The score tied at 2 here at the Northlands Coliseum. Hunter, a long drive that Barron steers to the corner. McClellan bumps into the boards with Ellett. Ellett goes down. The loose puck picked up by Boschman. Boschman off the boards, kept in by Melnick. Now it's McClellan winding up a shot that hit a leg, and Scott Arneal takes it to the boards and dumps it down the ice.
Now the Jets now are very content to keep dumping that puck out, but sooner or later they're going to have to start applying some pressure in the Edmonton end of the ice.
Loose puck in the corner. Babbage having difficulty getting it out of there. Gets it again. Loses it, but then it's dumped to center ice. Andrew McBain fires it into the corner. McBain had a great chance in the second period. Wound up with Muir down hitting the goalpost.
John, this is where Winnipeg will miss a game breaker like Howard Chuck.
Well, that Minnesota club very definitely the surprise so far of this year's playoff action. Fogelin with a shot, and Barron got a piece of that, directing it to the corner. Willie Lindstrom taken in against the boards. Babbage comes up with it for Winnipeg. His pass knocked down. Babbage broke it up. Now loses it. Melnick breaking in. Melnick beating it across. It comes out front and slides all the way to center ice. Dumped back in by Fogelin, offside.
Well, Babbage has often been maligned this season for his play. Just a few moments ago, he really put a good solid check on Lindstrom. Good solid body check, knocked him off the puck. And then in the next instant, he has the puck and he gives it away in his own end. Watch now as the Edmonton Oilers have good pressure. Pursuit of the puck, so very important. And again, the takeout. Now watch Babbage, he'll grab a hold of it. And that's where he causes the giveaway, right in deep in his own end.
He was saying that his brother Wayne, who played this season with Pittsburgh in the National League, will be in Winnipeg for games 3 and 4. A little bit of family spirit going with the Babbage brothers.
I understand he really played a solid series against the Calgary Flames.
He sure did. He played strong, and I think he was a pleasant surprise for John Ferguson and his hockey club.
Mark Messье, rink wide, too far for Napьer. It slides to the goal mouth. Barron is forced to make the save. Loose puck back to the net. Anderson, a backhand shot off the leg. Messьe gets it. Taken in against the boards by McLean. The Winnipeg winger comes up with it, and it's dumped down the ice.
There, look at the strength of Paul McLean. He actually kept control of the puck in his feet as Messьe was trying to check him, and Messьe has a habit of knocking people over, but not Paul McLean. Good, solid effort along the boards to get that puck out of his own zone. What Babbage did before, Gary, was throw that puck up the middle in his own zone. You don't want to do that. McLean made sure. They just went up the boards with it.
14:07 the time left in the third period. The score is tied at 2. It was 1-1 after 20 minutes. Each side came up with a goal. They were just 15 seconds apart in the second. McLean for Winnipeg, Napьer for the Edmonton Oilers. Back to the line. A shot deflects high by Randy Gregg. It goes loose in the corner. Jim Nill is in there. He's taken against the boards. Carlisle gets it. Plays it around on the glass, and it's deflected down the ice by Doug Smale. The Oilers in their own zone with defenseman Randy Gregg starting out. Ahead for Messьe. He dumps it into Winnipeg territory. Barron makes the save. Tim Waters goes back to the net. Dodges a check as he dumps it up into the neutral zone. Now Coffey in across the line. On the wing for Messьe. A shot deflects over the glass and out of play.
Down here in the third period, Barry Long starting to use people like Wilson and Lundholm a lot more than he did the previous two periods. On the other side of the fence, Glenn Sather has used Lindstrom up in the place of David Lumley. Lumley, of course, was injured earlier in the game. Semenko has not seen much ice time at all. He now is on the ice, and that sort of gets the fans going and involved. A little bit of noise for the Edmonton Oilers. Back on the left side, incidentally, with Gretzki and Kuri. Semenko played there a lot last season in the playoffs and played well, especially in the finals.
Back to the line, now over to Coffee. Coffee shot, scores! Semenko deflected it, I believe.
Sather must know what he's doing when he puts Semenko out there.
As soon as this puck drops, Semenko goes right to the net. Gretzki wins the face-off. They control the puck. Semenko's already in front. Look at the people in front. Babbage didn't know where the puck was. He was trying to wrestle with Semenko. Look at this. And the deflection off, I believe, Babbage's foot off his skate behind the goaltender. But Semenko made the play by getting there. Coffee will probably get credit simply because he put it on the net.
I thought that was Semenko's goal. Looked like he deflected it.
You're right. Good effort by David Semenko getting himself in front.
But you notice those quick passes, two quick passes, and the Oilers get a goal.
So it's 3-2. Edmonton in front of Winnipeg. Coffee and Huddy drawing assists on Semenko's goal. Babbage with a drive off the stick and up into the stands. That goal came at 6:42, and Dave Semenko did the job that he was sent out to perform by Coach Glenn Sather.
Well, normally you figure Semenko's going to be out there to start a fight with somebody or rough somebody up. But with his strength, the ability to screen a goaltender, he just went out there, did his job, and it resulted in a goal. Good effort by Semenko, and a smart move by Sather.
That's right. Give Sather credit. He got the fans involved here. He knows Semenko's going to go to the front of the net. Good play for the Oilers.
Doug Smale trying to go around Coffee out front, and it bounced away from Boschman. Boschman gets it again, back to Nil. Nil with a shot, he fired it wide. Alec from the point, winds up, a save, loose puck, and Semenko dumps it to the line for Gretzki. Gretzki away from Babbage, takes the shot. Barron way out of position, but he managed to get it as it bounced in and goal at 6:42, credited to Dave Semenko. A deflection on a shot by Paul Coffey. Arneal having problems getting out of his own zone as the defensemen have pinched in, and they force another face-off in that Winnipeg zone, this time to the left. Lee Fogelin forcing that play.
Well, the old veteran Lee Fogelin got the things rolling the right way against the Los Angeles Kings in his overtime goal. He said, you know, it gets tougher the second year. You always think the first one, Stanley Cup, is tougher, but trying to win that second one is even more difficult because every time you play a team, they want to knock you right on your back. They make you pay for winning.
Fogelin with a shot, and Barron was screened again as McClellan was in front of that net. Now in the corner, it's Hunter as the Oilers apply good pressure here in the third. Hunter fighting with Boschman, and they take it to the boards for a face-off.
You notice this period isn't quite as wide open as that second period. A lot more board work, small skirmishes as you see right now, muscle work. And Edmonton starting to control face-offs in that Winnipeg zone too, resulting in some shots and a one goal.
John, I think the Oilers want to prove themselves too that if a grinding type of game is necessary, they can play that type of game.
Well, they certainly have the right people to do it. People like McClellan, who was on that last shift. They have a couple of tougher defensemen in Jackson, Melnick, Gregg, of course. Winnipeg survived what was to be a physical series with the Calgary Hockey Club, so both teams can play it that way.
30-18 now, the shots on goal in favor of the Oilers. Ricard, unable to get it out. He goes back at his net. He's knocked flying by Krushelnyski. McClellan goes in there along with Boschman. Krushelnyski plays it around to the other side. And finally, Tim Waters gets it out to the center ice area. McBain racing after the loose puck with Krushelnyski. The Edmonton player got there first and cleared it. Turnbull at the line, has to wait for his mates to get onside. Now dumps it off the boards and into the Edmonton zone. hit the referee Hogarth on the clearing attempt by the Oilers, but they do succeed in dumping it out. Turnbull played it to an open wing. Fogelin picks it up. Fogelin is bodied by Turnbull. Turnbull gets the puck, then loses it, and Willie Lindstrom dumps it down the ice. Randy Carlisle retreats for Winnipeg with 11 minutes remaining in the third period. It's 3-2. The Oilers in front of the Jets. Lead pass for McLean, broken up by Randy Gray. Scott Arneal circling at center ice, dumping it into the corner. The Oilers play it up along the boards. Nappier trying to get it out, unable to, as Steen kept it in. They try to move it out again. Again, kept in by the Jets. A pass broken up at the line. It goes loose at center ice. Dumped back in by Winnipeg. Randy Gregg trying to clear it out of there. The Jets with some persistent forechecking, forcing those turnovers, but now Edmonton breaks out, led by Nappier against Waters. Nappier goes into the end boards, still controlling it, back to the line now. Gregg with a shot, it hits a leg and bounces down the ice into Edmonton territory.
John, you talked about persistent forechecking for the Jets. Yes, there is, but Edmonton is not panicking. They've only given up 2 shots, and we're at the midway part of the third period.
Semenko at the line, had difficulty controlling it, shot it in, and now it's brought out by Andrew McBain. McBain almost had it poked away, gets it again, and shoots it down into the Edmonton zone. Coffee plays it off the boards, kept in by Lundholm. Lundholm trying to center it, knocked down by the Oilers to the line, kept in there on a good move by Ellett with Gretcki trying to break out. Now Gretcki gets it again. Ellett comes back on him. The puck goes loose. Gretcki still managed to feed it across. A shot right on. Barron doesn't know where it is. They jam away at it, and it goes to the corner and is put down the ice by the Jets.
Well, Dave Semenko is certainly making things interesting every time he's on the ice.
Stanley Cup 85 on CBC is coming to you from Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. 3-2, the Oilers lead the Jets on a third period goal by Dave Semenko coming at the 6:42 mark. And since scoring that goal, Semenko has been taking a regular shift on the left side of Wayne Gretcki and Jari Kurri. Race for the loose puck in the center ice area. Now it's picked up by Kurri. He simply shoots it back into the Winnipeg zone. Bakar taken in against the boards by Semenko. The loose puck to Gretcki. Gretcki into the slot. Intercepted by Boschman. On the left side to Smale. Smale steers it to the Edmonton goal. Pure flipped it to the corner. It comes up along the boards for Gretcki to Paul Coffey. Coffey lost it. Winnipeg back in. Boschman on the wing, and it bounced off the stick of Neal and is cleared down the ice. A race for the loose puck, and Picard lost it. Gretcki to Hunter, and Hunter slid it back to Gretcki. He was in behind the net. Now the Jets break up. Dave Ellett takes the shot, a high drive that Pure knocks down, and Hunter comes back.
Don, that's what the Jets have to do. They're not getting many scoring chances. They're getting too fancy, making those extra passes in that zone. Shoot the puck on the net. You never know if you're going to get a rebound, a deflection, go towards the net with a puck when you're down in a hockey game.
Larry Melnick shoots it in. Babbage has it now for Winnipeg. Lead pass for Lundholm. Right side for McLean. McLean taking a shot. It goes wide. Picked up off the boards by Willie Lindstrom. He has Hunter with him. McClellan catching up with the play. Lindstrom is taken out behind the net. The puck goes loose. Tim Waters bumping in there with McClellan and Lindstrom. Lindstrom digs it out. Lindstrom out front. Babbage is there to clear it for Winnipeg. Lundholm circling in his own zone. He scored a shorthanded goal in the first period for Winnipeg. Lundholm dropping it off for Thomas Steen. A weak shot did not get through. 7:28 is the time left in this third period. 3-2, the Edmonton Oilers lead. Waters for Winnipeg. Dropping it back to the line. Steen with a shot. That was knocked down, and the Oilers dump it down the ice with Carlisle retreating for the Jets. Carlisle playing it around the boards for Steen. Into the center ice area for the Andrew McBain. McBain across the line, trying to center it, and Coffey deflected it to the corner. Randy Carlisle pinching in from the point, manages to keep it in. He tried to feed it in front. and it was intercepted by Coffee, and it's dumped out to Napьer. Working against Picard. One-on-one. Slap shot saved by Barron. Picard back of his own net, getting away from Grettzki. For Doug Smale, too far in the center ice area for Wilson. Wilson does get it again, lost it at the line, and Grettzki comes back for Edmonton. Grettzki tried to spin around, the play broken up by Elliott, and the young defenseman has certainly shown a lot of poise against Uэйн Grettzki. 6:22 left in the third.
There you see the story here in the third period. Now they put Krushelnyski back on the left side with Grettzki. He sat out a couple of shifts. We'll see how he responds, whether he's going to be a little more fiery than he has been in the hockey game.
Babbitt for Winnipeg, dumping it to the corner. Fogelin got there first. Plays it along the boards, and it's dumped down the ice. Dave Ellett for Winnipeg. A pass for Mullen. It was deflected back into the Winnipeg zone, but Krushelnyski was offside.
On the last little play by the Winnipeg Jets, Babbitt and Ellett are the two defensemen. Ellett had the puck. One Oiler player went right to Ellett, and the other winger was Krushelnyski. He went right to the other defenseman, Babbitt. In other words, what they're doing is taking away that defenseman-to-defenseman pass, make them force the puck up the middle, and they weren't able to move the puck very well. The faceoff came about. Now Edmonton will get that chance to control the puck.
We're getting to a stage of the hockey game too, gentlemen, where the Jets are going to have to start taking some chances, especially their defensemen. Just stand in there and hope they intercept a long pass.
Well, we saw Kарлaйл up the ice his last shift. I'm sure you'll see him up a lot more.
6 minutes remaining in the third period. Babbitt falls. Puck goes loose in the corner. Krushelnyski for Curry. Curry rink wide. Gregg fired it wide. McLean trying to bring it out against Grettzki. Loses it to number 99. He comes in across the line and then is bodied by Babbitt. Rink wide pass, broken up at the line. Now Ellett tries to get out for Winnipeg. His pass intercepted to Krushelnyski at the line. He tried to go to Grettzki in the corners, broken up by Ellett. And finally it's dumped down the ice by Winnipeg.
To my imagination, there are a lot of shots missed the net in tonight's contest. Point-blank shots missing the net by 2 or 3 feet.
It certainly has been on the Edmonton's point of view, but notice how many times Grettzki breaks up plays just with the quickness of his hands. He's able to get in there on top of a player and just sort of swoop in with that stick and break up the plays. Amazing.
And Glenn Sather is very pleased with the patience his club has showed tonight, especially in this third period. They've only given up one good scoring chance.
5:13, the time remaining. 3-2, the Oilers lead the Jets. The Oilers have outshot the Jets 32-21. Loose puck along the boards. McBain unable to get it out. Willie Lindstrom going to the corner against Tim Waters. McBain comes in. He's bodied by McClellan. The puck comes loose. Picard to Doug Smale. Smale unable to clear it as Bright kept it in. For Hunter. Hunter working to the corner. Still has it. Hunter back to the line. Jackson moving in. It hit a body in front. Loose puck. Lindstrom took a backhand swipe at it, and it hit another player, and McBain starts back. McBain has his pass knocked down at the line by Jackson.
Don, there's been a lot of play in that Winnipeg zone, especially here in the third period. First of all, it's got to be very taxing on the Winnipeg defensemen. Second of all, they're starting to run around a little bit more. You can see the point men are being left wide open on the side away from the puck, and Edmonton are getting those good scoring chances.
2:47 the time left in the third. 3-2, the Oilers lead it. It was 1-1 after the first period, 2-2 after 40 minutes, and Dave Semenko's goal at 6:42 of the third has moved the Oilers in front.
Two of the best face-off men. Messьe and Boston, and they both get thrown out.
So now Paul McLean moves in against Uэйн Grettzki. The draw goes back at the net for Randy Gregg. Gregg dumping it to the neutral zone. Shot back in by Winnipeg's Kарлaйл, but McLean touched it and he was offside.
The Edmonton defense have gone basically with the 6 players throughout this hockey game, which is somewhat surprising. Glenn Sather likes a lot of times during third periods to drop down to 4, but Jackson and Gregg, Melnick, Huddy, Fogelin, and Coffee have all played a real strong game, especially in their own zone. Smart hockey for all 6 defensemen, and Sather likes that idea of being able to go with 6 if they're having a good night.
McLean taking that lead pass, unable to control it, and it rolls to Napьer. He holds it.
Well, Don, there's been so much talk about the Oilers that they can only win games in shootouts, that they have to overpower the opposition. I think tonight, up to this point, in this third period, they have demonstrated that they can shut teams down. The Jets have had 4 shots on net, but only 1 dangerous shot, 1 good scoring chance.
Boschman against Messi in that face-off circle. These two, it seems, have taken almost every draw, or attempted to, in the final 10 minutes of this third period.
Laurie Boschman has seen an awful lot of ice time during this game.
Back to the line. Kарлaйл winds up, save, big rebound, and it's cleared by Jackson. Jackson taken in against the boards by Thomas Steen. Finally, the puck comes loose, lead pass for Grettzki. Grettzki against Picard. Grettzki moving into the slot for Messье. He took a shot, and Barron stood his ground on the short side. Dumped into the center ice area. Curry gets it, then loses it. Back comes Winnipeg. Paul McLean into the slot, nobody there. Picked off by Steen. A shot, a rising drive off the glass. 1:55 left in the third. 3-2, the Oilers lead. Curry and Grettzki across the line. Grettzki gets it, tried to get it back to Curry, and it's picked off by Winnipeg. McBain, a long pass into the center ice area. Pulled free by Wilson. Wilson with a drive, and Muir got a piece of it. Back to the line. Allen unable to get her shot away as Krushelnyski came back to poke it away from him. Good action here in the final minutes of the third period. 1:25, the time left. Lindstrom goes to the corner. Back of the net for McClelland. He couldn't do anything with it. And Babbage comes back for McBain to Wilson. Wilson has Smale catching up in the play. Drop pass for Smale on his backhand. Spins around, feeds it out front, and McBain couldn't get a stick on it. It's loose in the corner. And finally, McBain covers up, forcing the whistle with 1:02 left in the third.
I don't know why McBain was trying to grab that puck and pull it underneath himself, because that would just mean the face-off would go outside.
I wonder if Barry Long will take his timeout. 1:02 left here in the third as he watches the proceedings down the Edmonton zone. Smale trying to get at Coffee. Hunter, good time to try and settle his troops down, discuss what the plays will be coming up here if they do get the puck in that Edmonton zone. There you see the signal towards the referee. I'm sure he wants to get that puck, first of all, in Edmonton zone, and to try and get a face-off there.
Well, you always have a set play. You know, you come out one time, you know that if you're going to dump it in, it's so very important that your wingers are going at top speed, because you have to at least freeze it or hang on to it in the Edmonton end of the ice. But to dump it in and your wingers standing still, that isn't going to do it.
Rick Bowness doing some of the talking, the assistant coach with a headset on. He will be talking to Bill Sutherland up in the press box. So you can see the input of an assistant coach right here. A lot of people, when you mention coaching staffs with various teams, they just mention the head coach and forget about other people. Buckler and Green are very important to the Edmonton Oilers.
You know, and both Sather and Barry Long give their assistants a lot of responsibilities, and they're all part of the team.
Barry Long had an interesting comment prior to the game about who would play tonight. He said, the Democratic vote, the 2 assistants voted me down on who the 7th defenseman would be.
There's also a report in the paper here today that Long's in for a raise in pay from John Ferguson. It's good to see. He certainly deserves it.
$2.50 an hour?
Well, I don't know. That'd be pretty good. There's a lot of hours of work with the coaching staffs. Interesting. Let's see what happens here. The Oilers come out again with Messье being their key centerman. We'll have to keep an eye out for Barron to see if he goes over the bench for the extra attacker. And it looks like Mullen may be the forward to come on the ice. He's the player at the very right end of the Jet bench. He will jump on and get the jump towards that Edmonton zone if he can.
Surprise, surprise, it's Messьe and Boschman in the face-off circle again as we move into the final minute. Kарлaйл trying to keep it in, the puck loose along the boards. They fight for it in the corner. Thomas Steen has it, he's tied up. Barron coming out of the net just as the Oilers gain possession for Anderson. Anderson with a long shot just wide. Babbitt picks it up, icing
play. Bad
against
play.
the Edmonton Oilers as Anderson fired it wide with 37 seconds left.
I can't understand what he's thinking about. He's on his side of center ice and trying to score that goal. He missed the net. Now it's going to go face-off in the Edmonton end of the ice.
He simply wasn't thinking, Gary.
No,
you're right.
You've got to use that discipline, even hang on to or dump it against the boards, or wait till you get over the red line. All you're doing is giving another breath of life to the Winnipeg Jets. And Boschman, who is so good at face-offs, has an opportunity here to get things rolling for his hockey club.
Now, Gregg is against the boards for the Oilers. If Messье wins the draw back to the corner, Gregg will fire it right around, I'm sure, and Kурri will release himself and get right over on the boards, or whoever the winger is on that side, to get control of the puck. Now, Winnipeg are only leaving one man back for the shot. That's Kарлaйл. The rest of the players up on a line, much like a front line in football. They have to hold those Oilers out if Winnipeg wins that draw.
Boschman against Messье, back to Kарлaйл, moving in, over the Mullen, he fired it high and wide, and it bounces away from McLean back to center ice. The Jets have their chance. Here's a quick Grettzki, this is all over. Grettzki into the empty net with 24 seconds left.
And who would have believed it would be an empty net goal? That would be Gretzky's first of this year's playoffs. Well, gentlemen, the Winnipeg Jets had their chance. They had the face-off deep in the Oilers' end of the ice. Boschman got the draw perfectly to Kарлaйл, and Mullen couldn't connect. And Grettzki, again, as you had mentioned, John, the ability to just strip the puck from players, and here he does it against Randy Kарлaйл, and the rest is history. So the Oilers will win Game 1.
At 1936, Wayne Gretzky's first goal of the 1985 Stanley Cup playoffs, assuring the Edmonton Oilers a victory in Game 1. As Jackson goes back and plays it around in the boards, the seconds ticking away, out tantrum McBain, he couldn't get a shot away, and the play is whistled down as there was some bumping in the corner involving McClelland and Smale, but nothing serious there.
Now you see a little sigh of relief on the bench as MacLin has a smile on his face. Players know that this one is in the bag, and it's, again, a hard-fought victory, but the Oilers showed, again, that they can also play defense and really put up a good, strong wall in front of Grant Fuhr. He wasn't tested nearly as severely as he was against the LA.
McBain with a quick shot with 5 seconds left. That Fuhr got a leg on. It goes to the boards, and this game is over. So the Edmonton Oilers win Game 1.
Now Grant Fuhr getting the congratulations from his players. The Jets put up a game effort. Barron was especially effective, made a lot of good saves, kept them in the game, especially in that second period. Time and time again, he robbed the Edmonton